everybody. This is Chris McCabe of e-commerce. Chris coming back at you with another Amazon suspension trend. Today's is kind of an interesting case from not that long ago. It's an expired item complaint that led to a listing takedown and dozens of thousands of dollars in lost revenue. Fortunately, we were hired on quickly to fix it, but it was an interesting type of item in terms of you can't have an expired calendar. I think they thought that it was a calendar which actually has dates on it. No, it wasn't a calendar like that. It was a calendar almost like a dry erase board where you're filling in the dates. It was just the calendar was the product, but not with dates pre-written into it. You're going to write them on yourself. Makes sense, right? Didn't make sense to Amazon. There were bizarre, unrelated performance notifications to the brand that complicated this more. Some account health reps kind of got things spinning in the wrong direction as well, referencing other listings, other brands that the brand hadn't sold. Probably a right-click error, probably just the wrong person thinking they were looking at a different account and mentioning other products that were not the same product category even. Meanwhile, low thousands of units sitting reserved. Amazon's been doing this inventory quarantine. That's kind of a key word to remember from today's video. And they've been focused on this idea of, well, until this expired product issue is resolved, all of these units are quarantined until you've appealed it to our satisfaction. We also see this, and I'll be doing a separate video about this, in intellectual property complaints, which is a huge warning flag for all of us, consultants, brand owners, Amazon itself, because fake intellectual property complaints and IP disputes that aren't read properly by Amazon's infringement teams are rampant. So that's a good parallel example. In this particular case, the item was reported as expired by either a confused buyer, or of course, a lot of buyer orders are from competitors who are masking who is really making the complaint. It's just a stress test where they're trying to get your listing taken down. The well-known black hat tactic. Amazon knows all about it. And it's discouraging to see that expired complaints like this particular one were reviewed and continue to be reviewed in a haphazard or incorrect way. It's a bit discouraging, and it's just a sign of systemic errors on Amazon's, whether it's a combination of automation or AI flags and manual reviews, or if it's not a combination and it's just one person making an initial mistake, which gets repeated by several of their peers when it's flagged for appeal or just disputed by the brand owner. I don't know if that's a sign of natural misunderstandings getting out of hand. I don't know if it's a sign of things to come, but you as the business owner and brand owner, the buck will stop with you. It'll be up to you to set this straight and to clarify any inaccurate info provided by ineffective support teams at Amazon. It's going to be up to you to kind of correct some of this data pollution in terms of teams looking at the wrong account annotations, the wrong ASIN is being cited in the original message, or simply a misunderstanding about what type of product can expire. Because aside from the date you see at the top of a calendar, you're walking around a bookstore and you see calendars for sale. Yes, those calendars have dates on them. If it's a calendar where you're just buying a product which gives you the format of a calendar and you're the one filling the dates or the month names in, that's different. And anyone should be able to understand it, can understand it, if they take the time to understand that the wrong message has been sent, the initial flag for the investigation was incorrect. Sometimes it comes down to basic, obvious info, and Amazon's unwilling to admit that they were wrong, if you want to put it that way. But in this particular case, we were able to remedy it quickly. We were able to get it done in one appeal because we were able to do a high-level appeal, which was emailed in to create a leadership escalation team review and to show screenshots, to show proof of none of this makes sense. Why hasn't it been reviewed properly on appeal, as opposed to if you just submit things to Seller Central, you will, in most cases, get the copy and paste answer of, we told you not to sell expired products. You sent the expired products to a buyer. We determined that our original action was correct. There was no error. Brand owners come to us after a week or two of this nonsense all the time, so frustrated, and brain melted from calling account health, opening cases, sending appeals through Seller Central, maybe even emailing executive seller relations in some cases, but something that really could have been fixed with one proper appeal. Well, it was fixed in one appeal once we came on board, and it was fixed in a matter of hours to limited days. It easily could have resulted in more than one escalation that we would have done. It would have been 2 or 3 escalations. We see this all the time where I think, hey, hopefully this one's so obvious, anyone can understand it that is willing to read it. It should be one and done. And then we end up having to do a couple because an escalation gets mistransferred, misunderstood, no one read it. I mean, these are situations that are just endemic to the Amazon appeals process in all its forms, unfortunately. You have to make sure that you're reading these messages from Amazon as quickly as you can. You have to make sure you use escalation language that will be meaningful, not just complaining about how stupid the exercise is. We all can agree and understand that it's stupid. You have to have the right context. You have to set it up for them in such a way that 2 things happen. One, in a very brief, not 7 paragraphs, but maybe 7 sentences level, you describe the problem, you describe the triggers for them, how it might have happened on their side, just in case they don't understand what happened on their side. You encourage them to review some key data point, and then you spend the rest of that email contact focused on part 2, which is the escalation piece, which is we are going to keep coming back and escalating this until it's resolved. We know we're right. There's different various professional, polite ways of putting it. But in other words, we know that you'll see that we're correct, that this was a mistake. These products don't expire, or again, using my other example, the intellectual property rights ownership issues you think are present here are not present. Not necessarily dumbing it down, but keeping it clean and concise and direct without fluff, without what I see a lot of people padding their appeals with AI. Right now, ChatGPT and Gemini and other appeals seem to be very fluff heavy because the AI is adding the fluff or adding polite language in the beginning, which could have been 1 sentence instead of 4. So that's kind of, hopefully, years to come, AI will be better at not adding the fluff. But you could also be adding fluff yourself in a knee-jerk fashion without even realizing you're doing it. Well, you're just making it longer. You know that they're going to scroll up and down to see how long it is before they even start. And if they see that there's fluff, or they see that there's a lot of extra nonsense or extraneous content in there, they're less likely to read any of it. So that's on you, whether it's your AI doing it or you've demotivated them from solving your problem and from reviewing the appeal. So that's one mistake I see people doing consistently, and problematic because you're discouraging them from helping you. The other is people quoting from calls they've had with account health, sometimes quoting their SaaS core rep. If their SaaS core rep is new and unseasoned and doesn't understand the nature of the problem, they might have inaccurate or unhelpful suggestions. Sometimes that gets quoted in an appeal. That's just kind of filler of a different type, and it's wasting time. It's wasting space, and it's not helping. It's hurting your effort. If you want to take 1 sentence to say your SaaS core rep is opening an internal escalation and delving into why this is costing you money when it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, that can be done in 1 sentence, 2 tops, not 4, not 5, and not creating confusion in some gargantuan chunk of text, which is probably 75% hyperbole anyway. And these details matter. I know people like to say, oh, they're not going to read it anyway. Oh, it's not a human being consuming this anyway, making the decision. Well, you're making broad assumptions based on your ignorance of how these things work, how these teams work, how escalations work, how email escalations to senior level management or S teams executives work. And if you're making assumptions based in ignorance, then you've lost the battle before you even started fighting it. And you've just cost yourself an appeal, and you've cost yourself the money that you've lost in revenue while that listing is down. Some of these unresolved performance notifications, if somebody is buying from you for the purposes of competitor abuse, and they are using some phantom buyer account to buy from you, and they see that you struggle to resolve it, guess what happened? They'll come back and hit you again because they know that you don't know how to fix it. Or they know that maybe you're stubborn and you insist on going it alone and not having somebody like us come in and take a look at it. Or you're working with an agency and they tell you that they know how to fix it and you're just letting them fix it for however long it takes them. Your attacker reads that as softness on your side. They read it as vulnerability on your side. And they see you as chaotic and confused and missing the knowledge you need to fight back. So in this particular case, obviously within a short amount of time and with relatively little revenue damage, we were able to fix it with an escalation, get the listing back up, complete our part of it, reviewing it, Q&A with the client, writing the appeal, getting the appeal submitted, getting the listing back up quickly. This was like best case scenario, and it did not require additional escalations, and it didn't result in additional days of sales lost, but it could have, and it could result in that for you if you're facing something similar. So if this doesn't sound off the wall, fanatical, out of the realm of possibility, and you've actually seen things on this, on your top hero selling ASIN or on other products you sell before, feel free to let us know and to put it in front of us. It's worthwhile to develop a strategy or a plan in advance so that if this does happen to you next week, or let's say down the road during Prime Day, you're ready and you've thought about it and you've strategized for it. So questions on that type of strategy or questions on initial steps you need to take if this happens to you, obviously you can reach out to us at e-commerce Chris, and you can find me, Chris McCabe, and talk to me about it personally. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you again soon.